Hey there, and welcome to Pro Tools 110 eBook Exercise 8. So if you've seen Exercise 7 already, you know these are longer ones. 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all longer, about, I would say, twice as long, roughly, as far as the amount of time you have to dedicate to each one. Yeah, they're just ramping up. They're like, okay, you know your stuff. We're going to throw some complicated things at you. But they're things that you're going to use a lot. We're dealing with mixing. We're dealing with looping. We're dealing with outputting. All very essential things to do, you know, when you're sound editing. So this time, Exercise 8 is about adding music and effects processing. Exercise 7 is more music-based. I believe this one is, let's see, a little more, yes, this one is more video-based. Great, that's a relief. Okay, so getting started. We're going to start with a template. We're going to navigate to the download media folder and to Exercise 8 Starter, which is in Folder 6, Inferno. Folder 6, Inferno. So I'm going to do that right now. And we're going to do stereo mix as usual. There it is. Inferno. Exercise 8 Starter. That's what we want in the Inferno folder. Okay. So stereo mix. There we go. And they want us to change this to 110 Exercise 8, my initials. Great. 110 Exercise 08 KT. And I will do this in the same folder. Inferno. Boom. Not much going on in this one. Oh, this one. Got it. Okay. I remember this. This is the meta exercise. We're editing a video that's all about showing you how to do use Pro Tools. Okay. So, adding a music bed. And this part of the exercise will be adding music to the video. Oh, it's a video podcast. Okay. So, we are going to display the edit window if it's not already shown. So sometimes if you open up a session, you're like, where's everything? Go up to Window, down to Mix or Edit. Mix opens up the Mix window. Edit opens up the Edit window. So I guess we want the Edit window for this one. Okay. Double-click on the Zoomer tool to zoom the edit window out and show the entire session. And put it in grid mode and enable the Smart tool. Okay, this is cool. So sometimes, if like you're zoomed in like this, and you're like, I need to see the whole session. Well, you've got your Universe tool up here, which lets you see that there is more to the session than what is just in front of you. And an easy way to just zoom out is, here's your zoomer tool, double click. When you double click on it, it zooms out to the length of your session. So when you do that, you know for a fact that what you're seeing is the very beginning and the very end of your session. And there's nothing before or after it. So there we go. Double click on the zoomer tool to do that. Be in grid mode and engage the Smart tool. There it is. Boop. Okay, there we go. Locate title music in the clip list and drag it to the start of the MX01 track. With the Smart tool positioned near the end of the clip, trim it to around 29 seconds 20. Okay, so first of all, let's go to our counter. Main counter selector. Click on this. We want it to be time code. Great. I like to show sub counter and make that minutes and seconds, because I like to know where I am in time, but also I like to see the frame count. So time code, make sure the sub counter is not hidden, that's shown, and then our sub counter is minutes and seconds. Okay, it wants us to do, what was it, title music? Was that what it was? Title music to the start of MX01. Here's our MX01 track. There's nothing on it. title music is right there. Let's audition it by hitting Option or Alt on Windows and clicking and holding. Okay, that sounds like something I want to use. Click, hold, drag title music into the clip window, and it goes into, it's a stereo track, so it doesn't go onto it's a stereo clip. It does not go onto a mono track. As you can see, it only goes onto a stereo track. I'm trying to put it on this track, VO2. It's not letting me, but it will on this one. Good, because this is the one I want anyway. There it is. Now it wants me to trim this back to 2920. Okay. This is where we use the end. So what we want to do is, with our smart tool engaged, when we put our cursor around the edge of the clip, as you can see, it changes into the smart tool. Quick trivia, when the smart tool is engaged, when you're around the top of the clip like this, it's the selector. When you're around the bottom part of the clip, it's the grabber. Selector, grabber, selector, grabber. And when you're on the edge, it's the trim tool. And we're going to trim it back to 29 seconds, 29 seconds and 20 frames. And we know that because as we trim it back, this end time code will change. See that? We want to go back to 2920 or around there. 2918, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. Maybe get a little more precise. There we go. Perfect. Okay, using the smart tool as a grabber, click on it to select it. Oh wait, we want to do a fade. Okay. Use the smart tool to add a short fade out about 3 seconds. Click in the upper right corner and drag left. Something else cool, and you should have learned this last week in the fades chapter, chapter 6. When you get the smart tool on, not only can you do the selector, the grabber, and the trim, you can also do a fade. When you go to the edge of the clip where your trim usually hangs out, if you go up to the corner edge of the clip, you get something that looks like a square. It's actually like, it's like the symbol for fades because it's like dark and light, right? So click and hold and drag it back, and you can see the waveform changing. And you can see, if you go up to your counter, under where it says start and end, it says length. As I drag this fade out selection, the length is increasing. See, it's increasing, now it's decreasing. It's increasing, now it's decreasing. They say I want a 3-second fade, so I'll drag it until it's about 3 seconds or close to it. Boop. And there we go. And let's see how that sounds.
Full click feature for adding tracks.
There you go. That's what they wanted us to do. Great. See, fading in Pro Tools is so cool. I'm sorry, but it just blows away what you can do in video editing programs. That alone will make me always come back to Pro Tools. Okay, so duplicate the music clip for closing sequence. Click on the thing to grab it. Duplicate the clip. Using the smart tool as grabber, drag the duplicate clip towards the end of the track. Position it to begin at 104 to 13. Oof, a lot to do. And there's a marker there, I guess. So it's selected. Now edit. Remember this from the last exercise. When we go on duplicate, it copies and just pastes it right next to it. It's a good way to just make a quick copy and paste of something rather than going through copy and paste. It's duplicate. Just does it. So now I will move this, and as I move this, you can see my start and end points of the selected clip move. I want to take it down to 104, 2 seconds and 13 frames. Oh, there it is. There's the marker. 104, 209. Let's just get it 204. There it is. So I wanted to get to the point. Obviously, I could go into spot mode, click on it, and type in the exact time code, 104, 2 seconds, 13 frames, and that'll give me what I want. But in this case, we want you guys to use the nudge tool. So if you click up here under grid where it says nudge, if you click on that, it says 1 frame. Click on 1 frame. And now, let's zoom in a little bit. We want this clip to start at 104, 213. So we want to keep our eye on this start. We want to go into slip mode and nudge it. Now, the nudge, it's depending on what kind of keyboard you have. If you have an extended keyboard with a numeric keypad on the right, plus and minus will move it. Minus moves it back, plus moves it forward. If you don't have an extended keyboard, no need to worry. The comma and period keys just above the space bar do the same thing. So we told the nudge that we wanted to move at a value of 1 frame. So, and we want this clip that's selected to start at 104, 213. So, nudge. There you go. If we want to, that's the cool thing about nudging. You select the value you want to nudge, and every time you hit the nudge key, it goes back or forward in time based on that value. Add a music bed for the narration. Audition the 3 music clips in the clip list by option clicking. We did that before. The clips are MX Loop 1, MX Loop 2, and MX Loop 3. So MX is shorthand for music in the sound editing world. So you don't have to type out music. You just type MX. It's easier that way. Okay, so MX Loop 1, 2, and 3. Drag our preferred loop to the MX1 track a short distance after the first music clip. Got it. So let's listen to number 1. Option click. Okay, let's listen to number 2. Option click. Ooh, I like this one. Third one, option click. They're all kind of dorky, but I'm going to do number 2. So it says to literally drag it, or literally just take it out of the clip list and drag it somewhere around this area. So just shortly after the first clip. So that's what I'm doing. Boop. There it is. Got to say boop. Right-click on the music loop and choose Snap to Previous. And then with it still selected, oh, we're going to do a loop. Great. So sometimes you'll drag something in and you want it to start right after another clip. You don't want any gaps. So when you do this, you're like, that's close. I don't know. You could go in a shuffle mode, click on it, and boom, it just snaps. But as we know, shuffle mode can be dangerous if you leave it on. You could throw things out of sync really quickly, unintentionally. So what I like to do, if I'm in slip mode or grid mode, which of the 2 modes will be in the most, to kind of go into shuffle mode temporarily with just the clip you want to shuffle, right-click on it, click Snap to Previous, and it'll just snap to the previous clip. Watch. Boop. Let's do it again. Right-click, snap to previous. Boop. There it is. Boop. There it is. That's how the song came about. Okay. So now we want to loop it. We want to loop this until the end of the session or next clip and click OK. A clip loop will be created, extended to the second clip. So let's zoom out a little bit. We've got this first music guy. We duplicated it. We put it at the end at the specified point, and then we inserted this one. We want this to loop all the way until it hits this. So with it selected, go up to Clip, Loop, And once again, you can either use the shortcut, you can actually go up to clip and select loop, or my preferred method, right click on the clip and scroll down to where it says loop. Pop-up window comes up. We want to loop until the end of the session or the next clip. So if this clip wasn't here, right, it would just loop until the end of the session. The end of the session, as we determined when we zoomed out at the beginning of this exercise, is this last frame of video right here. So if this wasn't here, this guy would just loop all the way to the end. But this is in its way, so it's just going to loop until it hits this next clip. There it is, and you can see all the loop iteration points. Great. Now what? Okay, so use the Smart tool to add a fade in and fade out at either end. Extend or fade to approximately 3 seconds each. Great, let's do it. So remember, the length is what we want to watch here. Smart tool, go to the upper corner of the clip boundary. So remember that's, let me zoom in a little bit. So we did that here. Let's do that here. See, Smart tool, selection, grabbing, trim, and then fade. So watch the length indicator up here as I bring this. We want this about 3 seconds. Boop, right there. And then they want us to do that again at the end. Go up to the corner with the Smart tool, extend it out to where length says 3 seconds or thereabouts. That's good enough. Boom. There it is. So we've now just done a quick, we basically have done a lot. We just created a whole music band. We duplicated, we added in a new clip in the middle and looped it so it filled in the gap and added fades so it all works together pretty smoothly. I would have done a crossfade here, but this is what they want, so we're doing it their way. And it's probably good to save at this point, even though autosave should be turned on. Okay, so now, can you think of a way to quickly navigate between the start and end of the clip loop to adjust or what steps be required? We learned this last time. When you have a clip selected, as you can see, this clip obviously goes past where a window is. If I want to go to the end quickly, we learned this last time. Left and right arrow. When a clip is selected, the right arrow will take us to the end of the clip. The left arrow will take us to the beginning of the clip. So right arrow, I now see the end of the clip that's selected. Left arrow takes me back to the beginning of the clip that's selected. So that would be a way to quickly go. You know, if I'm working on the beginning here and I just want to get to the end, but I don't feel like scrolling, I could just hit the right arrow key. Boop, there's the end. I always forget about that one. So that's kind of a relief to know that. Okay, so now we're going to add room reverb. We're going to place the reverb on an aux input track. All right. We'll be able to send track signals to the processor as desired. Create the return track. So we're going to go to the mix window and add and create. Oh, by holding control. Oh, here's another cool shortcut. When you hit control or hold down control or start on Windows, while double clicking on the blank area of the mix window, it will automatically make an aux input track. Let me show you what I mean. Window, mix. So we've got a big empty area here. So just anywhere in here, anywhere in this empty area right here, gonna hit control because I'm on a Mac, start if you're on a PC, and double click. There's a brand new stereo aux input track. Do that again, again, again. I don't want that many. But that's how you do it. Different, if you hit Option, double click, you have a new instrument track. If you hit Command or I guess that'd be control on a PC, double click, you have a new audio track. So that's a really cool, I actually want to get rid of these now. But yeah, those different modifier keys, and when you double click, opens up different types, or creates actually new tracks for you of your choosing. So now click on Insert Selector A at the top of the aux input track and choose Reverb. And in Reverb, we want the preset known as Large Room. Okay, so aux input, insert, reverb, deverb. So we learned this in the 101 book. Create an aux channel. We're going to basically feed, I don't know which channel. We're going to find out soon. We're going to feed a track into the aux input track to give it the desired effect, which in this case is called deverb. So then we go to the librarian menu, which is right here, and we choose large room, and the dials change to whatever the preset is set for. Close the plugin window to reduce on-screen clutter. Enable solo safe mode by command clicking. The solo button will become dimmed. Okay. So here's the solo button, the aux channel. So command or control on Windows, click and watch what happens. Okay, what is solo safe mode? This is it. It allows you to disable the track mute button on a mixer with canceling solo pressing solo turns on and pressing another solo turns the last solo button off. So basically it allows you to disable the track mute action. So what that means is when this is in solo safe mode, it's kind of a weird title, but what that does is it negates the mute button. So this track will always be active. I can't mute it. I mean, if I option or control click it in, then it's just like any other track. But anytime a track is solo safed, that means that it will always be active. You do this sometimes because a lot of times you'll make a bunch of aux tracks, and then when you're playing, you're like, how come this sounds weird? You might have accidentally muted one of the aux tracks at some point down the line, and that's going to throw you off when you don't hear the cool reverb that you made. If you make an aux track and automatically afterwards put it in a solo safe, that means it'll always be on, not be muted, and you can be assured that whatever you throw into the aux track, you'll hear it. So it's just like a safeguard, basically. So we're going to create a send to it. Select each of the voiceover tracks. When holding Option Shift, click on Send Selector A for one of the tracks and choose Bus 3-4. Man, we're getting all sorts of shortcuts this one. This is great. Okay, for voiceover 1 and voiceover 2, they evidently want these guys both going to aux 1. So Shift select both of these guys. I'll go up to the send on one of these. Bus, and they say bus 3-4. Great. And what's cool about this is, here's a little shortcut. If I know I've got multiple tracks that need to go on the same bus, all I need to do is create one send. Hit, and with my mouse over it, Option or Alt if you're on Windows, click and drag it to the other track or tracks that you want it to be duplicated to. Boop. So now, rather than going to here, bus, if I've already created a bus here, just Option or Alt on Windows, Option, click, and drag, just copies it. Much easier than accessing the bus submenu and scrolling down a big long list of buses if you know what bus you want. If you just want it to be duplicated, just Option drag. That's all it is. Okay. So a send will be created position A and a send window will open. Close the send window to reduce on-screen clutter. Right-click on the Send Assignment A button on either of the VO tracks and choose rename from the pop-up window. We're going to rename it Verb Bus. Got it. Okay. So get rid of this. Right click on just either one of these. Rename. So we're going to call this Verb Bus. I'm doing all caps because I'm wearing glasses and I need a new prescription. See, look, Verb Bus. There you go. We've now, so rather than just Bus 3-4, which is a pretty generic name, now we know this is a bus that's going to some place that's going to do reverb. How do we know this? Because we renamed it to something that's more descriptive. Okay, so what do we do now? On the aux track, our input is the bus known as Verb Bus. It is renamed Verb Bus. So there it is. It's being sent on the Verb Bus to the input called Verb Bus on aux 1. Let's see. Adjust the send levels. Display the send A controls in the mix window by choosing View, Expanded Sends, Send A. Ooh, this is exciting. View, Expanded Sends, Send A. Expanded Sends, Send A. Isn't that cool? So what we've been doing before is we click on this and then we get this. If we just know we want to do something really basic, and that's like the volume of the send, mute or panning, and it's just really if we just need the basic stuff, we could just go to View, Expanded Sends, and we, since we put that send in the slot A, right? We just want to see that. If we want to do send B, as you can see, B, there's no send there, but if there was, then we would see one there. So what this is just kind of like a shortened or sort of like a highlighted version of the full send. But rather than cluttering your whole screen with a whole bunch of with a bunch of send windows, if what you want to do is pretty simple, just like a volume adjustment, you could just open up the expanded sends to achieve the same result without taking up valuable screen real estate. So what does it say to do? Begin playback and adjust the send levels as you feel appropriate. You may need to solo each track and toggle the mute on and off to hear the contribution that each send is making. Try setting the send levels to around -2.9 for VO1 and -7.9 for VO2. And what you're going to find is when you're sliding the fader up and down, it's really hard to get a precise, specific fade to, in this case, 2.9 or 7.9. But if you hold down the command key or the control key on Windows while you're sliding it, you'll see that it'll let you slide it in finer increments. I'll show you what I mean. So let's go ahead and solo this. Where'd you go? There you go. Of course, VO2 is... Okay, fine. I'll solo both of them.
New effects return track. Whatever the case, this would require a trip to the new tracks dialog box. Selecting the desired track type and
See,
format
as I bring the fader
is a
up and down,
multi-step process.
it increases the strength of the deverb or reverb effect.
With new double-click shortcuts in Pro Tools, adding a track.
Oop. But I'm just like, how do I know? And this is my, my decibel count right here. I want this to be -7.9. But it's hard to really get it perfect. But if I hold down the command key on a Mac or control key on Windows, it lets me, see, it lets me adjust it in much finer increments, and it's easier to dial in to exactly the number I want. And then same with this one. mean, obviously you could type it in as well, but it's good to know this shortcut. Command or Control on Windows, while moving a fader up and down, will let you give a much more precise control over the fader itself. I mean, look at this. See this right here? But then when I hold down Control, see that? It's much smoother and precise. Look at these numbers change. Much more precise. Super cool. Okay, so now I'm sending basically a lot of effects to this channel and a decent amount, but not as much, to this channel. So what does it say to do now? When satisfied with the results, stop playback. To finish this project, you will create a bounce to QuickTime. You should save your work to prevent your loss, to prevent data loss. And let's go back to the edit window. So shortcut for that is Command equals or Control equals. Here we go. So let's unsolo everything so we can hear how everything sounds.
Welcome to the Daunting Inferno videocast featuring in-depth Pro Tools coverage with your host, Lou Picard.
So if I want to see the send controls in the edit window, all I have to do is view, edit window views, sends. Let's see if it'll let me do it. I think in the send window, nope, it looks like expanded sends don't work in the edit window, but I could still get the normal send faders. There is a way to do it, and I'm totally blanking on it right now, but that's okay. Just so you can see, if I did want this to be up a little more.
Daunting Inferno videocast featuring in-depth Pro Tools coverage with your host, Lou Picard.
I liked it where it was, -2.9. Let's just keep it there. But just so you know, you could modify this stuff in the edit window as well. Okay.
Of the Daunting Inferno podcast. I am Lou Picard, and in this episode, I will be walking
And
you
you can
through an
see
exciting
right
new
here the
feature in
send
Pro
is
Tools for
working
quickly
because
adding tracks to a session.
See, oh, there it is. You just have to basically open up the tracks a little more. There it is. So the expanded sends are visible in the edit window. You just have to actually make the tracks physically bigger so you can actually see them. There it is. Great. So this lets me know.
So here we have a session in Pro Tools with various source tracks
This
from
visually
some
lets me know
tracking.
how much reverb is being
Now, as
applied to
I'm
this
tracking,
track.
I often
Videocast
And this lets me know how much reverb is being
in-depth
applied to
Pro
this track.
Tools coverage.
There you go. So it's saying to bounce to QuickTime. Okay. Re-enable automation follows edit using the options menu. Activate zoom preset 1. Great. Okay. Options. Automation follows edit. Okay. Then zoom preset 1, using the smart tool, click on the clip on the video track to select it. Okay. I actually prefer to double click the zoomer tool. So now I see the whole thing. So grabber, select it. Now remember, whatever you select in the timeline is when it comes to exporting or bouncing, whatever you select in the timeline, all that determines is the time. Just because I selected this doesn't mean it's only going to export video. Just because I select this doesn't mean that it's only going to export audio or that track. What it's doing is it's going to export whatever tracks are active in this time frame. So if I select this, it's only going to export from this point to this point in whatever tracks are turned on. In this case, all of them. So if I clicked bounce or export to QuickTime Movie,
In this example,
I would just
I'd like
get
to add
from here to here, and that's it. So that's why it's important when you do your bounce, always make sure you select the length of time that you want to bounce. In this case, I know that this video starts and ends frame 1 to frame whatever, and that is only what I want to export or bounce. So I select that, and that will verify and confirm that whatever I export or bounce will start here and end here. So now, file, well, let's see. Actually, no, I want to skip ahead. Okay. Oh, let's look at the video window. Make this a little smaller. There we go. Now, there's something about track locations. Oops. Yeah, let's make it quarter size right now. Let's put it right there. Now, it's talking about track locations. There we go. Press dot 6 dot to recall the review marker location and listen from there through the start of the credits. Make additional adjustments as necessary. So you might have learned this when we learned about markers. Every time you make a marker, there are different ways you can access that marker. Basically, you can double click on it and that'll open it up and you can rename it. You can just single click on it and the cursor, as you can see, will go there. Or with your numeric keypad, if you hit period and whatever marker it is, period, it will go to that marker. So in this case, I'll just be hanging out here, for example. If I hit period 6 period, it jumps to the 6th marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is called review. If I hit period 5 period, it goes to this marker. And if I hit period 4 period, it goes to this marker. So if you've made a bunch of markers, say like 10 markers, and you want to go to marker number 8, you could just hit period 8 period, and the cursor will automatically go there. So for example, if you make a marker at the beginning of your credits, like in here, and it's on marker number 6, period 6 period, and hit play.
Okay, so to review, we
There
have
you
4
go.
new double-click shortcuts in Pro Tools for adding tracks to our session.
It's a
Command
convenient way to really get around quickly rather than just scrolling and like, where did I put that thing? Or whatever. This looks good to me. I'm fine with it. So I'm going to export it. Reselect the clip on the video track just to make sure. Boom. Because we want to go from here to here. File. Bounce QuickTime. And what other parameters is telling us to do? Wave, interleave, 16-bit, 44.1, include video, same as source, and replace timecode track and name it 110 exercise 8 FDC. Okay, that's cool. And by default, it'll go in the bounce files folder. That's good. That's where we want it to go. Anything you bounce should always go in the bounce files folder. 110 exercise 8 FDC. Wave, interleave, 16-bit, 8 kilohertz. Screw that. We want 44.1. Include video, same as source. Yeah, this is all good. We'll do an offline bounce. Hit bounce. There we go. Whew, another long one. So when you're done with this, take a picture of the screen, send me that image, and send me the QuickTime Movie. The QuickTime Movie is part of the grade for this one. So every time they ask you to export or bounce something, that file is also part of the grade. So make sure you send me the screenshot. The screenshot of the screen, as well as the file that you created. And we're good to go.